Okay, we are back. That was weird. Let's see. Let me set this up here again. And let's see. There we go. Now we're back. Oh, yeah. My computer turned itself off for no reason. Well, I guess there was a reason, but okay. I was just in the middle of a rant there. Yeah, we were discussing like the motivation and stuff. Okay. Okay, I just want to say that I don't feel like this. I mean, of course, I do feel stressed sometimes, but I do have a normal job as well. So I do have a job, and I have a family as well. So I'm giving this project the time that I can give it. So it's like I'm not actually overworking on it, and I feel like that's one important aspect of it as well. So and then, you know, in between I can come up with new ideas for it, and I can do some graphics or sound effects or whatever, and then I can come on stream and do some programming. But I feel like motivation stuff. What I was gonna say was, when I was interrupted there, was once you reached or come over a certain amount of hurdles in a project, when it has grown, and then you look back at the project and you can see how far you've come. You can see, like, okay, I've actually built this and it actually looks pretty nice, and it's like it's actually on its way to be something very cool and very nice, you know. So that also helps with motivation. It's like once you've started a thing that you know can grow large and can be big, and probably you have to work on a long time to actually feel like it's 100% complete, and then you reach a certain point on it, it feels like that gives you motivation. That progress actually gives you motivation to keep going. At least in my experience there. And there's for me, there's not a lot of projects that have given me that feeling, because I've never actually tried to continue going with a large project like this. So yeah, well, in the end, I do want to complete this game. I do want to make it sort of a large game, and but I'm setting the ambition level just a little bit ahead, and I'm moving the goalpost. I don't need motivation to keep going anymore, because I never feel the desire to leave it because of ADHD meds. Okay. Right. I'm not sure if I can relate to that. I don't know. Like, I don't know if I have ADHD or some other kind of, you know, neurodivergence or whatever they call things these days. But I just know what I feel, and yeah, this is how I feel. I mean, I feel like losing motivation is not necessarily meaning the end of the project or something. It just means maybe you need to take a break, maybe you can do something like this, like starting a stream and doing it at the same time, because that has really helped me with the motivation, like keeping up the motivation to actually continue. But to me, motivation means that I want to work on it. That's what it means to me. So yeah, I don't know. But I don't have motivation problems with this project. It's just that as I said, I'm moving the goalpost a little bit ahead all the time. So I'm not scoping out. I'm not doing like a waterfall planning of the whole thing. So I'm sort of working in iterations and moving the goal further. But yeah, I mean, it's a nice discussion. Did you say didn't finish things much, or didn't we? I mean, I guess you could say historically I have been very bad at sort of finishing projects. Like I haven't actually. I have started up a lot of projects, but I've never. Well, some I would guess you could say finished to the point where it's useful to me. I've never done a project which is like finished that I can sort of say that it's done and I can sort of sell it or whatever. Well, except for one, actually. I did one project that I actually finished, but I mean, to me, it's like, it's very, also, if you're talking about finishing a project, what does that mean? Like, does it mean that you actually shipped a project and try to sell it? Or does it mean yeah, I don't know. How would you define it? It means you think it's finished, yeah. And also, I think that all things can be worked on, even though it's like feels like it's finished, but you can always add more things. So is it finished in that case, or is it just, you know, reached a point where it's useful? I guess that's a philosophical question. How many projects do you feel you're happy with and it's finished enough for you? I mean, I can't count how many projects I've started. And it's been like, as I said, it's been like 30 years since I started like my programming journey. And well, I say 30 years is actually, well, I mean, I started discovering programming 30 years ago, but I never started to. Yeah, I mean, but you know, okay, I cannot actually count. It's like, and most projects that I start is not supposed to be something useful either. It's like more like I've experimented and I've like researched and also just learning things. But because programming is fun, it's like it was never about the project. Well, most things that I started was never about the project itself. It was more like, oh, this sounds like a fun thing to do. So yeah, I mean, I guess if you would say how many I've finished, I mean, I can think of one that I actually took time off to actually complete a project, and that took almost like a year to do. And then I can't actually think of anything else. And now we're not talking about like work-related stuff. It's just for my own projects. And yeah, it was not like I was working on it full time though. So I can't say that it was like a full-time project, but it took a long time to do. Okay. But yeah, I think it's very interesting discussion. Motivation, how to keep up motivation, how do you actually finish like a long project, especially if you're by yourself. I think that's also a factor. If you have multiple people, I think it could actually raise the motivation. But it's really hard to just by yourself do something. You have to really believe what you're doing is. Believe in yourself there. If you have finished one project in 30 years, you might have motivation problems. Yeah, I could agree with that. I mean, yeah, but what do you want me to do? I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be aggressive here. That came out wrong there, but it's just I'm trying to do this project, and I think it's going well. So it's like, yeah. I don't see it as a problem. I see it just as something that I need to work around. ADHD. I mean, yeah. I feel like ADHD could be like a lot of different things. I don't know. I just feel like I'm finding out for myself like what works for me. This works very, very well for me actually to do a long project like this, streaming, making videos, and it really kicks up the motivation when you get like positive feedback and stuff. And also I have some friends that I discuss some things with the game as well. That also helps. Probably have ADHD, maybe. Except for your work through around problems. Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to do, and I mean, I think it's going good. I think you can have problems, but you can also work with them. So I don't see it as a big deal. Actually, it's like I just feel like it's really nice to work on something and not feel like you have to quit. I only say all this because I used to have a... Yeah. I understand. So you're saying that you started on meds? Is that, what you're talking about? Because you said that before, like you have ADHD meds, and it's better. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe that would be good. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I will look it up. So I think yeah, I can look it up. And by the way, did I have is this the correct size? No. Less fights with the wife, okay. That's also good. You can do things that you don't want to do, and yeah. That all sounds very good things. Yeah, it's like yeah, I mean, I guess I am easily distracted, and yeah, it's like also when you're programming, I mean, how many distractions is there not in when you're sitting and programming? It's like when I'm trying to do something, I see something else that But I've also learned to sort of navigate that as well. So trying to keep, I know that I am like that, and but I'm trying to work with it. I never felt that there was anything wrong. Like. Yeah, I mean, sometimes, I can get into a zone when you're programming, but that requires certain parameters to be correct. I have to have like a realized like idea of what I want to do, and then I can just, be super productive on that idea. If it's like realized, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I could look it up. Thanks for sharing. That's really nice. So yeah. Let's see. Yeah, so I mean, I'll talk with someone. And maybe it will actually help. Maybe it will be like a really nice thing. But I think that, I mean, isn't motivation something that everyone deals with, though? I mean, it feels natural. It feels like motivation is a very natural thing, right? Oh. Okay. I don't know. I mean, there are like, motivational speeches and stuff. Most people can just sit down and do boring homework that they don't want to do. Okay. I guess. I mean, yeah. Now I'm trying to think about how I did it back in the day. I mean, I liked some. I guess for me, I had some. What you call it in English? What's it called? Like grades? No. Grades in different areas. And I would like math. I had easy. It was easy for me, and it was fun, so I got good grades in that. But then you had other areas that I did not like, and I got bad grades in that. So I'm assuming you did your boring homework at the last moment. Yes. I mean, okay. Yeah, I guess that's true. It didn't have to be boring either, actually. Well, I guess it was boring if you didn't want to do it. Sorry, because you were smart, you could just do a shitty job quickly. Yeah, it was like, you're kind of mentally preparing yourself that, okay, I'm gonna have to do this at some point, and then at the last minute you were like, okay, I have to start now, because if I don't, it's I'm not gonna make it. So that's kind of the breaking point, and then you just had to do it, and even dealing with things like I mean, I guess I was diagnosed with depression as well, so some of the things I just didn't do as well. So yeah. I was well, yeah. So when times were tough, I just broke down and didn't do anything, and I had to redo a whole year, and then I had to change school and stuff, and I spent a long time doing repeating 1 year of whatever it was in the elementary school somewhere. And then, I came out and went to sort of equivalent of college, I guess you could say, and did that software engineering or computer science. I mean, my depression went away after starting taking meds because the person I became on them became closer to the person I knew was capable. Oh, I mean, yeah, I've also when I was diagnosed, I also got medication. I think it was for serotonin deficiency, and I was diagnosed with social phobia. I'm not sure what it's called in English, but social anxiety was more like, yeah, a kind of phobia, and I got meds for serotonin deficiency, but I never felt like it worked for me. So maybe there was something else I needed. I don't know. Maybe there's some magical pill. I've always been skeptical of those things, but yeah. I may check that out actually. I mean, yeah. I didn't think I was gonna have this discussion here. But it's very nice. Maybe the problem is that how you maybe the problem is that you know you are capable of being more than you are. I think so, but I'm not sure, and I've been thinking like that, like you're talking about, for a very long time actually. But recently, or not very recently, but maybe 4 years ago now, I started to also trying to exercise more, or exercise at all, because I'm just sitting at the computer all day, and I was actually not exercising for 15 years or something. I just sat at my computer and didn't do anything, and I'm fortunate that I didn't blow up like a balloon and couldn't move or whatever, because I was not eating good food and stuff either. But now, about 4 years ago, I started exercising, and that feels very good to actually do that. And I think many people that I talk to is and also people in the what do you call it, hospital business, people who should know what they're talking about, says to cure depression and get more energy and stuff, just go out and walk. Okay. So yeah, exercise. I think there's a point to that, and I'll also increase the amount of exercise that I do as well recently. So okay. I mean, I agree with you to some extent. I agree that it feels like I should be capable of doing more things, but I don't agree with that it's impossible to do large projects, because I know that I've done at least one large project, so I know it's possible. Yeah. I mean, it's true that I've quit on a lot of projects, but I feel like the issue there is trying to find a way to keep the motivation going. That's the problem that I'm trying to deal with. And I think it for me, this project works so far. It's not impossible. It might not be worth it. It might always make you unhappy. I don't think so, actually. I think, I mean, for me at least, that's not the case, because this project is, for me, it's something that I want to work with, and it's also a large project. And I've always wanted to get into game development ever since, 30 years ago, but I never actually broke through and did anything. And I started a bunch of projects, but I never got anywhere with it. So, but now it's like the first time that I actually try to be sort of brave enough to just keep going, and it's not, I'm not unhappy with it. I actually feel, I mean, I don't feel, I'm not like overjoyed all the time. I don't think that's human to be, but it's like, it's yeah, I mean, I'm doing something that's coming out of my mind. That's kind of what I want to create. I think most that a huge problem has been like, okay, you get this idea in your head, and you want to make it, and you want it to be real. That's sort of what we're doing here. You have an idea in your head that you want to make be real, but how do you actually make it to be real? That's the problem, And I think this is part of the problem solving that we have to do to actually do it. I think that's the thing. If you want something to be real, just do it. That's the thing. I think that's what sort of motivates me. It's like, yeah, I mean, I know I can do it, so I'll just do it. That's almost the whole thing. And then yeah, sure, you have some motivational problems. You have maybe you overworking yourself or whatever, but it's just hurdles that you have to deal with along the way. Yeah, just kind of neutral. So it's like, I mean, sure, it goes up and down, but I never feel like I should quit. At least not. I always have this feeling that I need to keep going, and that's what keeps me going as well, I think. Because if I didn't have that feeling that I need to keep this going, then I wouldn't keep going, I don't think. So maybe it's a midlife or whatever crisis, I don't know. It might be, actually. I don't know, actually. But it's what I want to do, and I'm gonna do it, and nobody can stop me. So okay, I'm gonna try to get back to what I was doing here before it crashed on me and stuff. Oh yeah, we're working on the attack hitbox, but I really appreciate you talking with me about this. I really appreciate sharing your experience as well. Maybe it works out like that, and that would be amazing. But if it doesn't, if this project falls to the wayside like the rest, maybe this time realize it's not your fault. It might be severe. I mean, I think I've reached a point where, I mean, I agree. I feel like for me, I've reached a point where I sort of know in the back of my head that it might fall at any moment, or not any moment, but well, maybe, you know. But I don't think I will be discouraged. I think that I will be content with having it gone this far, and I've actually learned a lot by doing this project as well. So I'm not gonna get, you know, oh, what if I finished it and stuff. I mean, I've had my share of what ifs. It's just a bad thing to think about, because it's never gonna be. So yeah, but I think I have both the feeling of maybe I will finish it, and a feeling of, okay, maybe I won't finish it. It's you know, it's a superposition of that state, whether it's gonna happen or not. We'll see, and that's how I want to have it. I don't want to say, okay, I'm definitely gonna finish this, and then it's never gonna happen. I've always said that it might not be complete. So my first goal has been to make this sort of demo with sort of one area that you can explore and complete, and that's kind of what I'm focusing on right now. And as for how long that will take, I don't actually know how long that will take. So it's not a matter of that either. It's like I've set up some goals, but they are kind of loose as well, the goals. So it's like, yeah, I want to make a demo, but how big is it gonna be? I don't know. Maybe just one area where you can do things, and I have a village with NPCs and stuff. But how detailed is that gonna be? I don't know. So I'm just doing what I think is fun, and taking like one step at a time, and not looking at the whole picture too much, you know, because then you can really start to get overwhelmed and think, oh my god, it's too much, I can't handle it. Okay, can I recover this? I guess, yeah. Oh yeah, so in Odin, by the way, is there such a thing as like how? So it's sort of like C, you say, so it doesn't have like classes and stuff like that, right? Or the like operator overloading or stuff. Because I think yeah, no classes. SIG actually does not allow overloading at all. Does it have overloading for functions? Which is I think it's like pros and cons with that. Sometimes you wish there was overloading, sometimes, but I think you could actually have a way to have an overload. It doesn't have overloading, but it has the operating overload that you want. Does that mean? What does that mean? Is it built in, or can you define it yourself? Yeah, okay, yeah. So it's the same as SIG then, yeah. Yeah, it's built in. It's the same as SIG. Which is nice. And SIG also has these weird @ functions that you can, that's like built-in functions that you can use on. so the max and min here you can use on numbers and vectors and stuff. Okay, so it's I think it's very similar then. Sig and Odin. I guess the huge difference would be like comp time, and then some. Sig has some weird quirks, I guess, to it. Okay, I think we're doing this. This did not save correctly here. I think we had height times. Let's just take height. And I think we'll do 0. Rotation. Oh yeah, so that's like the direction there. Yeah. And this, wait, this is the size of the hitbox. Yeah. I guess that's fine. Function overloading works like this. You have a function. Well, is the return value named? Return nums. Get random value. Okay, so you do have. Oh, I mean, it's not really overloading. It's. Oh wait, is it? Oh, you have choose proc. Wait. In the end there, okay. Choose is proc. I don't understand what that means in the end. So, yeah, it's the overloading. Okay. I mean, so then you can say choose and then parentheses. If you put and that choose is actually the overloaded function. So you would say choose parentheses or a float. You would get the float version, and then okay. Yeah, I was just not understanding sort of the syntax or what the resulting type would be. So it's sort of manually stating that this is an overloaded function. Right, yeah. Explicit overload, yeah. I see. I mean, I guess that is sort of like what you call it, a solution to the problem where you might not want to overly use overloading, I guess. Because I've not actually thought about being like an issue with overloading. But I guess it seems to be big enough of an issue that SIG actually opts to not have it at all. I guess maybe it's more of an issue in C, or C like I mean, I can see an issue where it's like overused. So you have one function that does everything, and then you have to find the correct version of it that you want to use. That can be an issue. But it doesn't feel like a big enough issue that you would like remove it from the language entirely. I don't know. To me, it never felt like this very huge issue, but I don't know. Maybe it's not something that I've encountered yet. Odin treats folders as libraries, which is really cool. Okay. Yeah. Cool. SIG, oh yeah, that's also one thing with SIG. SIG has a build system which is very different from anything that I've used. So it's sort of like a built-in build system that's in the standard library. When you build stuff, you actually run SIG code, and you can basically do whatever you want, and define like different steps and compilation steps and transformation steps and writing files to temporary folders, and yeah, you can do a lot of stuff with SIG's build system. You can namespace per file as well, which fixes so many problems with C namespacing. Yeah, I mean, I know that, I mean, yeah, C is like an ancient language. So it's like many of the quality of life things that we have now in new modern programming languages does not exist there. And yeah, namespacing would be one of them. Yeah. So I think, yeah, SIG is sort of similar, but this is a bit different. I mean, it's just you're defining a constant like this. You import this file. This file is now actually, all SIG files are actually a struct, and you can define functions in the file, but that actually becomes like a part of that struct, you could say. So technically each SIG file is a struct that you can just alias and import like this, and then you can access whatever declarations or functions and stuff on that. In another file and same program. Okay, so you have import RL vendor array, and then you can do this rl.draw model. But in another file in the same program, I can import ray vendor raylib DNA. Is that DNA part of it? And do ray.draw model in that file, and it just works. Okay. Yeah, so that's the same in SIG as well. That's really nice. And you know, in more modern languages, that's kind of like a, you know, everything has that. DNA was tough. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I like quality of life things. It makes it, I mean, each quality of life thing that's actually good to use is improving your life as a developer by however many seconds you're gonna use the thing, so, or you're gonna program. So it's like whatever they can come up with to improve the language is very welcome here. And new versions of SIG is gonna have like a whole bunch of changes as well that's gonna improve as well. So yeah, that's gonna be nice. There's actually a new version right now that I can switch to, but I'm gonna wait for one more version to sort of bug fixes and stuff. But yeah, so now, oh yeah, and the size, let's do like the height. Let's base it on the height here. The X is 4 times, okay. Let's try this. I think the main thing I like about Odin is that build is done now, so there isn't really anything new coming. Okay, cool. That's nice. I will say for Sig, it's like if you decide to try it, it's each version should probably has a lot of breaking changes, and the ecosystem is like it's actually, I mean, the build system is good and the package management is very good, I would say, but getting the correct version of a package for the correct version of Zig that you're using can be a bit tricky. So I would wait. Okay. Here you can see. Yeah. So you have to duck and then, okay, cool. I'm just gonna check the hitbox here. Okay, so Odin will be improved, but it's feature complete. Okay, yeah, nice. Okay, there you can see the attack. It's a bit long. Maybe we'll shorten it a little bit. Maybe 3 times, or maybe even 2 times. Well, that's nice, but that means that you can like pick it up and you don't have to worry about those kind of breaking changes and stuff. Okay. Wait, how? Oh yeah, because I have to duck. Okay, cool. So that works. And now this one is done. But we also need... Who else can attack? Stening, but that one doesn't really have a hitbox, so it doesn't matter. Okay, cool, so we're done with that. Yeah, do you have any other examples of like quality of life stuff that's improved overseas? Because I'm really interested in trying it out, but it feels like I think Sig is like more different than to see than Odin is. At least that's my impression so far. 4 loops. Is it like you have you know, ranges or iterators, or what's different with 4 loops? For yeah, okay, cool. So you can wait, is that a while loop? While true? Okay, I guess 410. What does that mean? Is that 0 to 10? Or is it 10 times? Repeat. Yeah, all loops are 4 loops. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Can you also do I mean, a while loop, you can have a boolean that you set at some point. Well, I guess that would be the sort of a break. you can just break out. So what could a while do that this kind of for loop can't? Is what I'm trying to think of. Maybe there is no practical thing that you want to do that's actually worth implementing it for. Also, it would be cool if someone just came up with a new concept, you know, because loops are just like a construct of, you know, the assembler version just jumping back, you know, sort of like a go-to. There's loop section on this page. Okay, yeah. But it would be cool if someone came up with a new concept that is like, yeah, what about this? Right. It's also interesting that functions are called procedures. That's very like old school, I would say. But not necessarily a bad thing. Okay, so you also have this format print line. That's cool. That's also something with Sega, like with the formatting stuff. Well, it's a bit weird to get used to, but then when you know it, it's sort of, yeah, it opens up a lot of possibilities actually. Okay, so there's no semicolons. So what? I mean, I guess there's no need for it if it's. I mean, I guess technically, if you're parsing the language, I think there is no need for semicolons. You can have them, but you don't need them. Yeah. Okay. So that's kind of like JavaScript. Well, not really, because JavaScript forces a semicolon at the end of every line unless there's like a special syntax. Okay, so question then. What happens if you do return end line and then some value? Will that actually work? Or will it return sort of void? Because that's what happens in JavaScript. It will crash. Okay. Wait, there's no void? But what type is, if you look at this first function here, the main or hello, in the link that you use, the Odin overview there, what is the return type of that function, the main function, where you just have proc and parentheses? Void has to be explicit. But you surely you can return. I mean, okay, technically you would want to return a value if you have a function that returns, you know. I mean, I guess it is statically typed, right? Yeah, it doesn't return anything. But you want to sort of, you can return if you want to quit out of a function. Although then that would be like a compiler error, I guess, because you want to return a value. Okay. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I might try it sometime. I'm kind of locked in on SIG right now. It's not. I don't think I will try Odin for a long time actually. But Because SIG is just, you know, it's so different. It's very, very interesting and nice to work with. I think you can just return to end a function without returning something. Really? Return to end a function without returning something. Even if you have a return type that is not void. Don't you have to return a value? If you have return type, yeah, I think you would. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense to me, at least. Yeah, because otherwise it would have like this weird void value that you can't do anything with, I guess. Let's see. So okay, yeah, so we actually have done the variants now, and I think the last thing we want to do like programming wise with Berling here is the invalid uproot position. So let's see if we can actually tackle that. And we have the uproot functionality here, and here's our to do for that. So the problem here is that when the uproot happens, the monster actually wants to find a new position to uproot, but if the new position can be anywhere, so it's like it could be inside a wall, it could be in the air. So if the new position is not valid, let's say, then we want to find another position that is gonna be close enough to the player. So I think the new position, let's just make a function for this. Get valid, get uproot position. And we return a position. And yeah, so we need all this stuff. Let's move this here, and all right. Oh, we do need monster body. Alright, now let's do all this stuff. So what do you think? What have you looked into SIG anything? Entity. Okay. Self. Oh yeah, we have. Wait. There. Just streams and stuff. Yeah. And what do you think so far? I guess it's kind of different. It's always different, you know, when you're trying to do something yourself. You have to like go through all the mental like gymnastics to try and figure out how to do stuff. I feel like it's very different looking at someone coding and actually coding it yourself. At least for me. Okay, and we return. There we go. And here we need this and this. Is that it? It feels messy. It's not enough like C. Okay. Yeah, I think that's a problem where it's like what you're used to. And man, I would tell you about the time where I tried Haskell for the first time. And that was a journey. Holy things. So it's like man, have you tried Haskell? It's not really like C, I can say that. No? Have you seen it? Have you seen anything? It's sort of like an almost notorious procedural, yeah. Alright. Yeah, same functional stuff, yeah. I mean, one thing I will say is I started out as a, I was self-taught in C++, and very procedural, and that was like 30 years ago, 25 years ago, something like that. And the tutorials and stuff that was there, and it was very limited, and also sort of what was it? The language features is not what it is today, but it did have templates and classes and everything. But it's still very procedural and stuff. There was no lambdas, there was nothing like that, and you wouldn't use maybe the standard library as much as you do today, I guess. But then I saw like some Haskell code, and I was like, whoa, that looks extremely what do you call it, like wait, how do you call it? Well, it looked very elegant, I would say. It looked extremely elegant. Like the code looked so elegant and almost like sophisticated. I don't know what the good word is, but it was something that captured me when I looked at Haskell code. It was just like, oh my god, this makes sense. There's no like crap on the screen, like all these parentheses and curly braces. There's nothing. It was just the essential parts of the code that you could see, and no sort of noise everywhere. So it just captured me, and I just had to like check it out. But then when I tried it, I was like, whoa, how do I even start to think about what to do? I had to rewire my entire procedural brain or imperative brain to think about how to functionally do things. It was super hard in the beginning. But then it kind of clicked, and just it worked really nice. But then for other reasons that I won't go into, it's like it was not a good language for me to work with. This works in Odin. First procedural format print. Print first if true, return. Yeah. Okay. So it would just print the first, and then that one doesn't. So you can't return. Yeah. You can't. You have to return a value. Computers are procedural. I program computers, so I code. I mean, I know what you mean, but also what you're doing is actually not machine code. You know, it's you are actually programming in a higher. I mean, I guess we're kind of discussing. I know what you mean. It's like what you type is gonna be how the in the order of things is gonna happen, and you have an idea of how this will translate into assembler code, you know. Yeah, I've done also some assembly, not much, but you know, I've done enough that I can say that, you know, I sort of know how this will end up in assembly. And when you're but then it's also like very. It's also like it's not one to one though. It's like you have some sort of you have abstractions that's gonna be end up in different ways. But it's like as long as you can reason about what the program is gonna do, I think it should be fine. You know, you don't have to know what the hardware is doing either to know what's gonna happen. So I think that's the main thing that you need to worry about. Is like if you know what's gonna how to reason about the program. Yeah, SIMD. I mean, what? It's not really true. The computer's procedural because of SIMD. So I would say that I think we're getting into like philosophical question, or more like what is the sort of definition of procedural then? Is it how it translates into assembly code, or is it what the computer actually decides to do? Because I think the CPU does things that we don't even think about. Yeah, one thing after another. And it's like the computer, the CPU, as I've learned from watching videos, it's like now modern CPUs run things in the future that's not actually happened yet, just to optimize, and then it can roll back that if the branch didn't happen or something like that. Yeah, I watched Casey and a bunch of other videos and stuff when I was like interested in that stuff enough to satisfy my curiosity at least. But I don't wanna. It's nice to know, you know. I think what I ended up with is like, okay, it's really useful. Well, what is useful to me to know, you know? It's like okay, so the super optimizing things, like, you know, I can show you the physics engine because it depends on where is I have this the body container. This contains all the like the positions and velocities and stuff. Each sort of this, so it's kind of messy, but it's like you have X and Y in different lists, so it's a what you call a structure of arrays, and these are actually vectors, so they are my own implementation here, but it's essentially a rope of vectors, you could say, and they are then, you know, the vectors in SIG. I guess it's like in Odin. It's vectorized, or what you call it. Like it's gonna be SIMD if it's available. And wait, what was I going with this? Yeah. So this goes back to, you know, the optimization stuff that you learn with these CPU videos. How does the CPU work, and how does the cache work? So because these are close in memory, then that actually speeds up, and it does. It's very fast. Yeah. I think OOP. I think who was it that saved me from OOP? I think it was myself. I don't know. I think I got tired of classes sometime. I don't know when. I don't like classes actually. I mean, classes is one thing, OOP is another, but I've actually tired of classes altogether. It's like sometime I just decided, no, I'm not gonna do, you know, I was programming in JavaScript and in web development, and I was like, wait, yeah, we have classes here, but I'm just gonna do, like, you know, data and functions that operate on the data. I don't want to deal with classes unless I'm working with C#, you know. Even C#, you know, C# actually removed the need for using classes in the main file. I think in the latest versions of C# you can actually, because in earlier versions you had to have a class to have a program. And I thought that, wait, this is a bad language to start learning with, because you have to learn about classes before you learn about functions. That was really weird. But well, you didn't have to learn about all classes, but you had to have a class in order to have a function, or a main function. Yeah, and then people came to the conclusion that also inheritance is bad, or multiple inheritance is bad. Yeah, and I don't know. I think it's still, I'm gonna think, you know, right tool for the right job, but don't overdo. We have learned that you don't need to overdo sort of inheritance, for example, or something like that. And just because you have a new and shiny tool doesn't mean you have to use it everywhere, you know, even though you want to. Yeah, it's a tool. Inheritance, it's a tool like every other thing in programming. It's like use it where it makes sense. Don't overdo it just because you can, just because you like it. Maybe there's a different way to do it that makes more sense. I was like that way. I was super locked in on functional programming for a while, and but it was good as well, because you learn the limits to it, and then you learn, okay, how can I apply this in other programming languages? I mean, even C#, even C++, you know, took things from functional programming and implemented it, which I think is nice. However, I don't think it's the same in SIG. But you could do this. You could say, let's say we have a function here, and I'm just gonna call this something here. So you can do this. Wait, this is a keyword, I think. So you can have wait, what's the example that I'm thinking of here? I lost it. Yeah. So you can do this. So you have an array let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now here you can see it's sort of a slice, or it's sort of a a pointer to an array. And then, well, let's do this. So it's just an array. And then you do sort. And I guess we can do it like U32. This is a comp timing, so we have to like specify the type here. Let's do U32 here. I think you can do it like this. So now it's the actual, it infers the number of items. Okay, whatever. Now it's a U32 array. So we sort that, and then we have the items is gonna be the array here. The context is anything, which is I'm gonna show that, and then you pass a function here. So you have to pass a function here. And I guess you can do this in C as well with function pointers, I think. Is that correct? I know you can. I know you can do it in C++. So you pass a function which is like less than whatever. So we have a function called less than. This returns a bool, and it takes the context and left hand side and right hand side. So this would be U32. And there's your thing. So this is sort of, I would say this is functional because you're passing a function. It's a higher order function because it takes a function. This function here, sort, is a higher order function, which I think is a functional concept. I mean, you're passing a function into another function. That's very functional. And this is one way to do it. Another way is to do, you can sort of, this is the way to do a lambda here. Is, by the way, are there lambdas in Odin? So you would define this struct, which now we're defining a type here, basically. This is a type. And then you can access this. And that's also valid here. A lambda is just a function, or well, it's like a function as an expression, I would say. So let's say we have less than is equal, and what is the expression that we want to assign this constant to? Well, it's going to be this. It's not nice to look at in SIG, so it's much nicer to look at in other languages. But this is now a function. So you're defining. You can define a function like this, and you can pass it around as well. And so I would say a lambda is, some would say it's like an anonymous function, but I think that explaining it like an expression instead is better way to see it, because that's basically what you're doing. Is you can it's an expression that is a function in its type. I'm not sure if I explained it good, but so the result of this is like because Sig is doing it kind of weirdly here. But let's say we're working with another. Let's take. Have you worked with TypeScript? So let's just do this. And so in TypeScript we have a function here, because you can define a return type if you want. This is a function, but you can also define a function like this. Okay, so this is kind of like a function declaration. Now you have a function called hello, and you can call hello. It's in the scope. This also defines a function in the scope, but it's more like a more like a variable almost. You have this or identifier called hello2, and you set it to be this expression, which is a function. So hello2 is also a function now that you can call here. I don't have the LSP working here, but so this is a lambda, you would say. It's just it's just a function in the different form, you could say. Because if you have let's say you're inside a function. Now TypeScript does allow to actually define functions within functions, but so you can do that. But if you have a language that doesn't allow that, for example, or whatever, you can say hello3 is equal to this. Okay, that's one way of doing it. One way of defining a function in here, and then you can use it in here. But then another thing that you can do is, if we delete all this, you can say let's have a function called map, and this takes a function. So this type is going to be sort of I mean, let's just do it very simply here. Let's have a function that takes an x, which is a number, and we'll return a number. Okay, and then we also take an array of numbers. Okay, and then we return or we do let's just do for each, and then we say for let I equals 0, which is just a mutable number here, and we say array.length I++, and then we call f on array I. Okay, and now why would I define a function in a function? Yeah, it's not usually a good thing. Sometimes it's useful because of closures, but let's say you have this now. So instead of having, so how would you use this? Well, you could define a function called, like, I don't know, log number, and you would have this thing here, and you would log this number. So yeah, and then instead of so how would you use for each here? So you would say for each. I know that this has, you can just make a for loop to do this, but I'm trying to show a point here. I might try to think about another case where this is actually like well, sort of in the case of sort is actually a better way to show it. But now you can say log for each log number on this array here, let's say. So now this is sort of like, yeah, I want to call this function on this array, on all elements on this array. Okay. So that's one way of using this function. But you can also, with lambdas, do this. So you take this x, whatever it is, and you console log this thing. Okay. So it's sort of like a shorthand of first defining the function like this and using it here. If you have a very simple thing that you want to do, the lambda is very useful, because then you can just define the function here, and you know, you don't have to write this whole thing out. I kind of get it, but I would always go with, you could just make a function for that one thing. Yeah, so you know, I think it's useful in not all cases as usual. It's a tool. It's a tool to use in the correct circumstance. And it's like also if you have, you know, it's very useful for those like one-off things. This is why I like Odin. It stops people do this bullshit. Okay. I mean, I respect your feelings on this, but I would say that it's not a necessary tool at all times, but it's nice when you can use it. And I think that, I mean, it's just a short, it's really just a shorthand for doing this, you know. So what so I would rather, in this case, I would rather have a nice, like a more terse way of doing the same thing, you know. I think anything that only purpose is to reduce the amount of typing is just kind of lame for show-offs. I don't know. I'm kind of... Why would you want to type more though? But I don't even like val equals condition. Okay, yeah, that's the ternary expression is that's actually interesting. In SIG you do have ternary, except it's not ternary, it's like an if and else. You would love this then. So it's actually more, it's not terse in SIG. So I'm not sure if you like this or not, but but let's say if true or whatever, if yeah, if true, then this is 5, else 0. Here's your ternary in SIG. I would say though, I like that you can do sort of this, is switch on some value, and if it's whatever, this is something, and if it's this, it's something else. Smaller amount of typing is normally more condensed information. It's easier to miss things. I think code shape is important. I mean, I think that's just what you're used to. You know, if you're used to seeing a certain pattern, then it's easier to parse. So I think, yeah, I think that's the thing. I mean, question: do you like do you like what they call it, significant white space? Have you looked at Python code, for example? Because that is one of the things that developers are like, oh my god, I hate this, or some developers, I should say. And I mean, I don't understand why you would. I mean, for me, it's like, I look at a feature and I don't really feel that strongly like, oh my god, I don't like this, you know. It's more like, okay, how would I use this? In what situation would I use this? And of course you could say like, okay, I don't like this thing because of this pattern or whatever, because I don't know. or more like, yeah, I'm not used to this pattern because it's so different from what I'm used to do. So white space is important. It is important, yeah. Formatting is very important, and as you say, the code's shape, and like you can recognize if everything was in one line, you know, that's crap. But I don't think, honestly, I don't think this is bad. I think it's a tool that you can use, and it's just, you know, getting used to it. I have the same feelings like you when I first encountered like similar things. It's like, oh my god, this is weird. But then, you know, when you get used to it, it's just another tool in your tool belt that you can use whenever you want to use it. And it's like you can choose not to use it as well, and I just use it when it's convenient. And I think when you're working with your own code, it's, you know, you can do whatever you want, but when you're working with others, that's when it becomes really important, I think. Well, really important. It's like, it depends on how much you care about the code, you know. Do you care about the code where you work? I mean, it's a complicated question, I guess. Okay, I'm not gonna get into that stuff. Wait. Okay. But it's fun. I think it's really fun to discuss programming stuff. I rarely get to do that with other people. But yeah, I've learned a lot of different programming languages, like functional, stack-based. I'm not gone into that a lot because I've just felt like this is too alien to me to like seriously get into. It's just like a fun side project thing. But you know, you have declarative, more declarative stuff. Like you have like this rule-based prologue. You know, there's so many different things out there, and of course, procedural or imperative, I should say, is the one sort of paradigm that is stuck, like is most popular, I would say. But I think in the end, it's like whatever you are more used to. You can. There's so many factors going into what you wanna, what programming languages you wanna work with. But yeah, because it's also like, okay, do I want to work with this? Or will I get jobs with this thing? I mean, SIG, I'm not sure, but I just feel like it's a fun language, so that's why I'm programming in SIG. It's like a fun hobby. Let me try to. Oh yeah, this was what I was doing here. So yeah, but it's really fun to discuss different views of different people. It's very interesting to me. But I'm always like, I don't have like strong feelings one or another of programming language. I used to have very strong feelings against, for example, JavaScript, because I didn't think that was like real programming, because I programmed in C++. But I don't have that stance anymore, because yeah, I don't know, I kind of grew out of that stance. It's all programming, you know. It's just the concepts are the same, yeah, but it's done in different ways. I mean, JavaScript has gotten a lot better also from, you know, like 10, 15 years ago. Also, it's going faster, so like I think it's awesome that it's like contending with, like, you know, Node.js. You have really fast and nice to work with code that works very well against, you know, the huge giants that has always like existed, like Microsoft and stuff. I like the diversity, is what I'm gonna say. I like that there is a lot of diversity in the programming scene. Actually, one time, as I like just wanted to learn about as many programming languages as possible. So I just searched for what is the different paradigms that are out there. What are the different like program languages, and try to learn as much as I could. Now it feels like it has kind of settled into some different paradigms that sort of just exist. There's not much new happening, but you do have these new languages that are like sort of revives the old paradigms in new ways, which is really nice. Also, I'm excited for there was some I think one of the inventors of Haskell, or one that kind of worked on that, or is working on a new language for I think it's Epic Games, that is gonna be sort of a, I think, functional slash what, like a rule based, like this prologue based language, or it's gonna have like features that are like that, but it's like a modern take on it. So that's kind of cool. I wanna get my hands on that whenever it's if it's gonna be like publicly available and stuff, to try it, because, well, the thing is I've tried functional programming, and it's well, like pure, like in Haskell, and I see a couple of problems with that. It's really nice, you can work with it, and sometimes it feels extremely elegant and extremely nice to work with, and it makes sense in a lot of ways, but in a lot of ways it also is extremely complicated, and you have to learn these extremely tough concepts just to work with it, and sometimes stuff just doesn't work and you don't know why, and you have to like it's just a more alien, I guess, world to me to work with if you're coming from an imperative background. But there are a couple of, like, you know, you have this very advanced type system, and you have monads, and you have the monads themselves, like isolated monads are not that big of a deal, but then when you combine them and when you do like stuff, it gets really messy. And what else? Like order of operations, and it's not necessarily the ordering that you put in, unless you sort of force the order. You have to know when it's important to force the order and how you do it. Yeah, I'm getting rambly here. Thanks for the wake up call here. Okay. Anyway, I just feel like it's nice to discuss these things. Okay, so this is a hard problem to me, I think, because it requires a bunch of stuff. So, well, Okay, so when is this position gonna be bad? You know, this is like the first position that we want to try. Okay, so I'm just gonna sort of high level this right now. Let's just do self here. I'll just have this for convenience here. So if is valid uproot position, then we return this. Oops. Otherwise, we're gonna try the opposite direction. Let's call this first. Okay, and then there's, you know, second position that we want to try is going to be the opposite direction. So this is going to be, I have a feeling that we don't need this. I have a feeling that we just want to try something else, but let's do this for now. So this is going to be the offset. We're going to do negative instead. And then, you know, this is nested here, but I don't care right now. If this doesn't work, or if this works, I mean, we return the second position. Otherwise, we want to return you know, get closest uproot position. So it's like first okay, so the way the uproot position is calculated right now is we look at where is the player, and we want to uproot either to the left or the right of the player. And so we calculate the distance here. The offset is like the distance, or offset x is the distance, horizontal distance from where, how much distance we want to from the center of the player to uproot. Then the offset is the vector version of that, and it's rotated by the direction that we want to spawn in. And then so the offset is going to be left or right of the player. So the first position we want to try is that thing, and it's also like a random. It's random whether it's right or left of the player. So the first position that we want to try is that, and if that's valid, then we return it. If not, then actually we don't need this else. We can just do this so we don't get this nested stuff. Okay, let's just do that. That's, and then we can do the same thing here. I'm just is this ADHD, by the way? the thing that I just did. I was in the middle of explaining this, and then I saw that and I had to fix it. Okay. So first, yeah, we try the first position. If it's correct, then we return it. Otherwise, we try the second position, which is the other side of the player. And if that works, then we return it. Otherwise, we return a different algorithm that tries to get as close as possible to the player. But that's going to be very hard, I think, because you're going to have to look at all the ground around the player and stuff. Maybe we will just not deal with that. Maybe the guy would just uproot at the same position right now. We'll have this in a to-do because these are more easily solved right now. Implement this, and then otherwise we'll just return, you know, the same position that we have. So this is going to be the position that we already have. Okay. Yeah. So now we just have to implement this thing. Okay, so that was an example of top-down programming. Okay, is valid uproot position, which works sometimes. Sometimes it's better to do that. Sometimes it's better to do top-down. Sometimes it's better to do bottom-up. This time I felt like doing some top-down programming. This returns a boolean. We get, well, we do self, but we don't do anything. And then we have a position. So, what do we, whoops. Okay, this is also distracting, by the way. The red stuff. I've actually thought of turning this off, because you can see also, do you notice to the left I don't have the numbers enabled because it's distracting. I mean, I've seen people actually see, this is so much information that I don't care about, you know. And I've seen people actually lower the, not opacity, but contrast of the numbers to the background by a lot, just to, you know, reduce the noise on the screen. I don't want it. I've actually worked with not having line numbers, which to many people seems very foreign, but I actually like it. It's just, it's not necessary. If I want to jump to a line, I can do colon whatever. Oftentimes it's not needed. Also, this red stuff, is this really needed until we actually need to fix this, like, in the end? I want to focus on, you know, solving the issue. But this red stuff is like always there and distracting me. So I actually thought about like removing this. But, well, not now. So, anyway. So, is it valid? So, let's do... Well, we need ground below. What do we also need? Non-blocking. Okay, I think those are the two conditions that we want to look at for if it's a valid position. So how would we do that? I think we get the position. We want to get the, we do have the hitbox, so we could actually, we need the registry, and then we're gonna look for collisions in the physics system. We need to import that, and then we also have this feature, but it doesn't work that well. Okay, and yeah, so we have the physics. Now we need to look for intersections in certain areas. So I want to look for intersections. Basically, you take the hitbox. Wait, I want to do this 2 times actually now. I have 2 different hitboxes that I want to test with. So the first is going to be ground below. Well, actually, let's do non-blocking first, because that sort of take precedence. And then non-ground below later. So we want to get the intersections, so let's call this because we cannot shadow things. Let's call this non-blocking intersections, and this is going to be the physics system. intersections rectangle, and the rectangle is going to be the hitbox, but then we add the position. So because the hitbox is like local coordinates, and then we add a position to get world coordinates. Okay. What's the issue here? Okay, see, I'm getting distracted by these issues. Okay, so there we got that. Now we have the intersections, and then we loop through those, and we get intersection here. And what do we want to do? We want to check if it's a ground, or if it's if the same collide, yeah, if it's in the same collision group, or not the same collision group, but if it's in if we are how do you call it? Like here, I just show the function name here. Is collision enabled for? So you basically put two entities in here. It's gonna check, are these two entities supposed to collide with each other? Are they resolving collisions between each other? Which means, are they gonna sort of push each other physically? Which is gonna happen, for example, for the monster and the ground. So we'll put the monster entity here, which we don't have right now, but we'll put that into the parameters of this function. And then the entity B is going to be the intersection entry key. So if collision is enabled, then this means that we are intersecting at the target location. So something is blocking this position, which means it's like a wall in the way. So this would we actually have to return false in this case, and we also need to pass the entity here. Okay. Right. So now we're checking for non-blocking. So it shouldn't spawn in like inside a wall right now. And we also need to pass in some other stuff here. But let's finish the function first, because we're not trying to get distracted here. Okay, so yeah, and if it doesn't find any collisions that should like push it around, then we're free. And we can look at now, is there ground below? So now we need to basically do the same thing here. But this one is like, I'm not sure if the LSP can handle this rename properly here, but ground below intersections. No, it did something weird. So let's do that. Okay. So now the thing is, we want to do the same hitbox, but we don't actually. But what we want to do is we want to sort of lower it a little bit. So we lower it by 1 pixel, let's say. I'm not sure if that's going to be enough, but we'll see. I think so, but we'll see. And if we find something, we will return true, because then we find the ground. Okay, and otherwise we return false. Okay, makes sense. And now we can remove these because we have the sort of the names in the variables. All right, now we can go back here and we can fill this out. So we need the registry, we need the entity, and the position. And then we'll do the same thing here. There we go. And we might sort of generalize this, because this should be something that is gonna be, well, we'll see. Okay. So now we have the upward position is going to be either the first position or the second position, so either to the left or right of the player, if it's valid or not. So let's actually test this now and we'll see what's going to happen. Oh yeah, I need to also enable burrowing. Where did I deal with that now? I think should attack, yeah. This one, and then we'll remove this false. This also, I think we'll remove this, and then where was it? Here, wait. This one, yeah. So we'll re-enable the damage on touch. Let's keep it one like monster for now. There we go. And it couldn't find a valid position here, which is interesting. It feels like it should be valid. Okay, so maybe we need more than 1 pixel down. Let's try 2. No? What if we try here? Okay. I mean, this makes sense because it shouldn't find, so that's good. But it should find it over here. Wait, that was weird. It kind of moved. Let's just go through this again. Okay, so we're trying to find this. We're trying to find non-blocking at the actual thing. It might actually be that this, we need to shrink this a little bit for the hitbox, like 1 pixel or something, because it might actually register a collision with the ground here. So yeah, let's shrink the Y. So let's non-blocking hitbox. So let's do hitbox, and I think we have a function for this. Actually, will this? No, this return. This is. Let's see. Expand. No. Did we not add this function here? Okay, let's just do this. Let's do top left is gonna be hitbox, top left, bottom right is gonna be hitbox. Well, it's gonna be the X is gonna be the same thing as hitbox, but the Y is gonna be, well, actually we could do hitbox. So we'll raise it up by 1. Yeah, and we also need to add let's just add a position right here. Okay. So that will raise it up by 1 pixel. Oh yeah, we need this. This doesn't matter. Okay. Okay, there we go. Now it's spawning and trying to attack. Cool. Now let's try over here. And we should be back to where it started. Oh, well, it's actually small enough to be able to spawn there. Okay, there you can see now. There's no valid position, so it keeps spawning at the same position. But okay, cool. So that actually works. Let's see if, I mean, maybe we can keep these two here just for safety. All right, cool. So actually, that's really nice. Now the only thing left is this now, because so instead of uprooting at when it doesn't find a valid position, instead of uprooting where it went down, it wants to find some position that's like closer to the player. But the issue here is, well, actually, maybe we can just draw a rectangle around the player, or a circle, and find any like round bodies in there, and the first one that it's gonna find, or maybe it will choose like a random of all the things it finds, it's gonna choose. But it just feels like such a complex implementation for something that actually something that I want to have. So I'm just gonna leave it as putting it where it started. Yeah, it would be nice to have that thing, but I'm not gonna deal with it right now. So I would say this is complete. And yeah, the only thing left for this now, so all the programming is complete. I just need to make the graphics for these different things, and I guess sound effect for routing as well, and uprooting. What else? Oh yeah, I want to tweak it a little bit, because now the oh yeah, let's enable all the spawns again. Here, this is gonna be 4. All right. There. Okay. So actually, I want to do the burrow thing maybe only when they are far away. So I guess if they are far away, then the chance of burrow is like larger. This one is, so the burrow chance is 50%. Let's lower this to that. So now I think it's like every second there's a 25% chance that they will do the burrow. But if they are in melee distance, I want a different chance, because it's like they're doing the burrow too much. Or maybe this is enough, actually. Let's play around with this a little bit. They're also kind of hard to see, because they have sort of the same color and stuff as the background. Especially when you're fighting in this so maybe the what is called the I might redo the graphics for a lot of the monsters to incorporate sort of the, I guess you would say, like evil magic that they spawn from, you know. You can see sort of the yeah, they all spawn. It's very hard to see. So I think I will have some sort of more like accent color to be able to see them better. Like the purple color maybe. Okay. Yeah. Okay, but that's a lot better. I like the idea that they can burrow in melee, so they have different sort of abilities that they want to do. Okay, but great. I think I wanna draw the line here. I mean, there's a lot of things left to do, and I have a lot of graphics that I want to do as well. Let's see. Yeah, so for this one I'm focusing on this monster now, so I should finish this guy. Here we have the different variants for like idle, animation, walking. Well, idle and walking is done, but the attack, and actually I thought of something. Maybe some of them actually do a high attack and some do a low attack. And that, so you could do that as well. Yeah, that's actually possible, because you have the different variants, so you can have that determine the type of attack there as well. Yeah. Okay, so I have the graphics left to do there, and the sound effect for routing. Yeah, so I'll try and work on this in the meantime, and yeah, I have to figure out also, so I have more ideas also for monsters. That's kind of what I'm focusing on right now, is adding more monsters and sort of getting sort of ideas on how what like the player abilities, and that also in turn gives me more ideas on how to actually design the different levels. So right now it's sort of like more like a placeholder thing with the levels, and maybe I should keep it that way until I have like a nice set of abilities that sort of, because that really helps you sort of design the levels in a way. And but I also think that maybe, well, it's possible to design sort of the basic structure of the levels even though you don't know exactly how it's gonna end up in the end, because of all the sort of abilities that you're gonna get to be able to, I mean, we have sort of the double jump, for example, which is gonna change how things works, and you get some other abilities that helps you traverse the map in different ways, so you have to account for that. And place secrets, that's gonna be accessible or not accessible depending on your abilities. So a lot of things depend on what you can do when it comes to level design. And I guess also the monsters. It's also like the combat. I haven't decided all the thing, like how everything should be. So it's like dynamically growing from the ideas that I get. So and that's how it's I guess should be, because it's my idea. And yeah, and yeah, but that's gonna be it for this time. So thanks very much for watching, and to everyone that tuned in, and it was really nice chatting, and yeah, hope you have a great day, and see you later. Bye bye.